Hello and welcome back to Wicca 101. I'm Brigantia Blackbird, and this week we are going to discuss what is magic. So let us begin with a simple definition, and in the absolute simplest of terms, magic is a form of natural energy that can affect change and has yet to be properly quantified by science. It is wielded through mental focus and instinct, and it is strengthened through the use of other natural energies to create a specific outcome. Just to be clear, this is not stage magic. This is not illusions. It's definitely not wishful thinking, and it is also not the kind of magic you see in movies. Sorry to say, we just aren't, it just doesn't manifest like that. However, despite the fact that it is nowhere near as dramatic or as spontaneous or as glamorous as what we see in fiction, magic is still a very real and a very powerful force, and wielding it is an art form. These are the energies of creation itself in your hands, and you get to make something with it and become a co-creator of the universe. Magic can be utilized in everyday life as well as at the very height of spiritual experiences. Magic is not a toy, it's a responsibility, and this carries an ethical weight to it whenever you're using it for whatever purpose that you use it for. And whether or not someone acknowledges this reality does not change the ultimate fact of the matter. If your true intentions are at odds with your words when you are using spells, one of two things is most likely to happen. One, your intentions and your words will cancel each other out because you're sending out mixed signals, and this puts the energy you were trying to use into a state of paralysis. It's frozen, it can't move forward because it's getting mixed ideas. Or your true intentions will override what the words you said in your spell, and it is your intentions that will take effect as opposed to the actual words. Next, we have to remember that magic works in accordance with the laws of nature, not against them. Cause and effect do not cease to exist just because someone is using magic rather than conventional methods to get something done. In fact, without the law of cause and effect, it would be impossible to do magic at all, or indeed everything else in life. Now next, not everyone is going to be able to do this, just as not everyone can become a brain surgeon or a violinist at Carnegie Hall or be a CEO or a quantum physicist or a world-renowned artist. It's okay if you discover that this isn't for you or that you just don't have enough oomph to make something happen. It is okay. It does not make you less of a pagan. It does not make you less of a person. It just means that your talents lie in a different direction, and there is nothing wrong with it. No shame whatsoever. And just because someone hasn't been called to the craft doesn't mean that they can't have a meaningful and fulfilling pagan spirituality. Learning what we are not suited for is just as vital as discovering what our true purpose is. So no matter the outcome of this class or the exercises that are about to follow, everything will be okay, whether you discover that this is what you were made for or you will discover this is what you were not made for. Either way, it's going to be okay. Now, magic is a skill and a muscle. It's going to take time to develop your capabilities if you do indeed have them. It will take time to learn various techniques and modalities of magic. You're not going to be good at it when you first start. I mean, maybe every so often there'll be certain things where you experience some beginner's luck, but by and large, it's going to be a process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will you master magic after just watching a video and trying a couple of exercises. So take a deep breath, settle in for this process, because a process it will be. So, now that we've discovered and discussed just a few kind of ground rules for magic, now let's move on to learning how to detect it. Now, sometimes we can feel that things just have a little extra oomph, there's just something else going on, and we just instinctively feel that there's more there than meets the eye. But if we're going to be wielding magic, we can't wait for those moments, for our senses to kind of be turned up a notch in order to try and do something. We need to be able to do this on command. So, do this with me. Let's put our hands together like so, palm to palm. Another deep breath. And clear your mind. Try not to think, just observe. So start rubbing your hands together like so. Gradually increase your speed. At some point, you are going to be feeling heat in between your palms. Now, the heat is obviously the result of friction. Now, pull your hands apart, about that far. Try to put those hands back together. Now, at this point, if you feel some resistance, congratulations. You have just detected the energy that we describe as magic. It is in the space between matter and form. It's unseen, but it is possible to feel it, and this is, for some of you, your very first taste. Others, you know all about this and you know how it feels, but for some of you, this will be the first taste. So, if you couldn't feel this resistance at first, try the exercise a couple more times. Don't be too worried if you don't immediately have success. Again, process, not event. And if you have managed to feel this energy, then it's time to try out a few simple exercises. Now, we will begin with what I call the bubble. And there's very different forms of being able to do this. And you'll see this basic technique described in a wide variety of books. So this isn't anything earth-shattering or unique to me. It's just, this is just what I happen to refer to this exercise as. So, if you need to, repeat the process of rubbing your hands together and then sensing the energy between them once you pull your hands apart. Now, we're going to start manipulating this energy. Start by stretching it. You should be able to feel it. And just kind of work it into a ball. If you're a baker and you've baked bread, just kind of think about how you would form a dough, and that'll give you an idea. And then from there, once you can feel it, and you're really focused, keep stretching it out. See how far you can stretch it out before it thins too much and you can't detect it anymore. Because as you stretch it out, the energy will get thinner and it'll be a little bit harder, but with practice, you'll get better and better at it. And eventually, you'll be able to stretch it out to the point where it can actually encompass your entire body, which you can just put over you like so, and back over again. And some people actually use this as a technique for making a personal shield. It's not the only method by any means, but this is one. And of course, it will take time to do that in order to do it effectively. Now, the second technique I'd like to discuss with you is bouncing ball. So, let's begin again. We've got our ball. Once you create it and you feel it, get it about palm size, try bouncing it back and forth between your hands. See if you can feel it. You might feel silly the first time you do this, and honestly, it's probably not the worst idea to practice this where no one is watching, because other people who are not inside the craft, they're going to see this and it's going to look a little bit strange. So just show the proper discretion. And as you're bouncing it back and forth between your hands, just kind of get into a rhythm with it. Now, what's really wonderful is if you can find someone to do this exercise with, and you can try tossing this ball of energy between the two of you, and you can just see how long you can sustain it. Now, the third exercise, and this is where things get even more important. While you were bouncing that ball back and forth, whether between your hands or with another person, you may have noticed that the energy of this magical ball felt slightly different, depending which of your hands it came to contact with. With one hand, you might have felt the ball bounce against it more firmly, but with the other hand, you might have felt that ball sink into it just a little bit. Now, the reason for this occurrence is that one of your hands will receive energy into it, and this allows you to kind of further extend your senses. But the other hand will project energy from it, and this is going to allow you to push energy away from you. Generally speaking, your projective hand is going to be your dominant hand, in my case, my left, and your receptive hand will be your non-dominant hand, in my case, my right. I'm told this isn't 100% the case. However, It's consistent enough to where I feel comfortable saying that, this is kind of what you look for. Now, once you've determined which hand is receptive, go outside and place your receptive hand on the ground, a rock, a tree, anything that's in the natural world, and just be still. Let the energy of what you're touching just flow into your receptive hand. It might feel like something's rushing into you, or it could feel similar to the way you feel when you're making a conscious effort to listen to someone. But in this case, you're not listening to another person. You are listening for the energy and for the cues of the natural world. Now, when you're sure you are actually absorbing the energy of whatever it is that you're touching, visualize that energy traveling up your arm, across your shoulders, and then down your other arm and out through your projective hand. Once the energy makes it to your hand, it might require a little bit of a push to let it flow out. This is very good practice for when you are releasing magical energies for later spell work and ritual. It does take practice. If you're having difficulty, press your projective hand against the ground and visualize the energy draining out of you, like water flowing out of a pipe. That'll help you until you get more comfortable with the process. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to repeat this exercise until you can feel just a continuous flow of energy going through you. And if you want to go with Star Wars metaphor, let the force flow through you. It's a very similar principle. And what you're looking for is that tide, the ebb and the flow, the ebb and the flow, the in and the out. Once you do this and you feel like you can sustain this and you can come back and do it again, then ground the energy, just let it all go out. And then go and eat a small snack or drink a cup of tea, whatever you need to do to just kind of return to normal. That way you aren't all kind of woozy. Because whenever you're working with energy of this kind, particularly when you're not used to it and it's still very new, it can absolutely put a drain on your senses. So make sure you take care of yourself. Now, on for homework should you choose to accept this mission. First thing is work on the exercise that are discussed in this video all through this coming week and just journal about your progress. See how good you can get with daily practice. If you're having hang-ups and difficulties, write about that as well. And of course, you're welcome to come to Blackbird's Brew on Discord and tell us all about your triumphs or your setbacks, and you can find some helping hands there. Now, the second thing for the homework is that since you've now experienced a taste of magical energy, think about what is your overall impression of this experience? How has it made you feel? Do you see the world any differently than what you did before? Is it different than what you expected? Now, if you're an experienced practitioner and you're watching these videos to just kind of brush up on your skills, think about what do you think of these exercises? Is this something that would have helped you when you were beginning? Is it kind of good for getting the cobwebs out of your system and start having everything flow the way it should again? Can you feel your magical muscle memory start to come back? Now, the third is that since this class has progressed to actually doing magical exercises, meditation is going to be even more important for your self-care than what it was before. So make it a habit to do guided meditations for grounding, centering, recharging so that you don't tire yourself out. It's no joke to feel drained of magical energy, especially when you're just at the point where you're finally having some success and you just want to get on and do it and really start exploring. Take care of yourself. I promise you you will be so thankful that you got into good habits at the start of it once you're a bit further down the road. So, short class this week, but I think we've got a lot to unpack. We're going to be having the discussion about this class. We can also do a little bit of exercises and works in there. At Blackbird's Brew on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time. We'll be in the workshop channel for that. So I hope I'll see you there. Hope people choose to participate, and I shall see you next week. Bye for now.